Hello, and welcome back to the Project Seed Money podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited to be back again with Shamayne Olivia Kotfas. Thank you so much for being here and spending some time with me again. I'm just so excited to be here.
Thank you, Sharissa. It's great to be back. A lot's been going on.
It sure seems that way. I've been following your journey through social media and trying to support you where I can. But when we last talked, you had the workbook live on your website and you were experiencing some delays in the publishing realm, which is not unheard of. And it is so common to have delays, but it did come out a little later than you were expected sometime this year in January and February. And you just got to have the launch this weekend. So I just want to celebrate that with you and say congratulations. And
Thank you.
also, let's just talk a little bit about it. What has been going on since the book has come out and since we last spoke?
Well, it just seemed like the delay just took forever. I mean, months and months and months and months, which I kept hearing, that's normal. It can happen that way. It's too bad. I'm so sorry, kind of thing. And then after it came out and I was letting people know it was up on Amazon, it was up on my website and all those things, I started getting calls, orders were coming in, and everything just started taking off. I started getting, I got I got a request and I applied for to speak at a summit for the Girls Empowerment Network. I'll be teaching a workshop there this month, and so things just really exploded. And then I got to celebrate with all my family and friends at the book launch. So things are happening now, and I'm very excited to actually step into this light that I've been waiting so long to do.
It seems like that's the way with big changes and big things that we do in our lives. It's like such a hard birthing process there right at the end. And I'm so glad that you made it through and that the book is doing well out in the world. And I want to ask a question around vulnerability. Once the book was out, it seems like mostly what you have felt is excitement and like forward momentum. But did you feel any vulnerability once the book was out in the world?
Oh, yeah. And I had to get past that in the first week or so. I also felt there was a side of relief on one side, but then overwhelm of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And I actually had to cry it out and just let it, release it, let it go, and then accept that here we are. It's now time for you to shine and to get to talk about your things. And it did. I felt very vulnerable. I'm like, what are people going to think about me? What are they going to say? Is my book, is it horrible? Is no one going to read it? Kind of thing. It was very scary. And I didn't expect that. I was just expecting, oh, the book will come out and it'll be over and you'll be happy. And no, all of a sudden those emotions hit me. But the good thing is that gradually, as people were reading it, because it's a short read, it's not very big, and it's my memoir. It's my personal story of me transitioning from the person I was, coming from a dysfunctional family and not understanding any of that until I reached my 40s, and then what I did to transform myself into the person I am today. And so, as people are reading it, I'm getting such good feedback. And I know maybe that's not always the case. And after my launch this past weekend, one of the women that attended, I've only known her a short time, but she called and left a voice message. We don't get that many. It wasn't an email, a voicemail or anything. It was a voice message. And she was in tears, and she not bawling or anything, but she just said, I want you to know this book is going to reach all women, not just women in midlife, because she's in her 30s. And she said, I needed to hear this. And she just went on. It just touched me so deeply. But it's those little things that kind of help me keep going and knowing that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. I knew when I got the words in my mind that I was going to be teaching women how to find their shoes for their journey. Um, I knew that was what I was supposed to do, but you don't really know until you start doing it. And so those messages and emails, and then some of my book reviews have been really good too, and or at least I'm seeing the good ones so far. And anyway, it's been quite a roller coaster ride of emotions and throughout the whole journey.
That's so valid because what we think and what we expect is going to happen when we have the book out, like that first week, that anticipatory feeling of, oh, I'm going to celebrate, it's out. That is so rare. I have yet to meet someone who really truly felt that celebration feeling that first week or even that first month. It often took a few months to start to settle into that vulnerability, to feel safe with their words out in the world.
Yes. I
Well,
think you're right. And looking back, it was probably more like a month or a little more than a month before I started feeling comfortable with it. I was terrified. I was terrified. And then also the first emotion, it just came back to me was because of all the delays that I had. When it finally was released, I was like, oh, well, there was no bells and whistles and confetti or nothing. It just, okay, it's out. But it wasn't until I was able to start sharing more about it and letting people know and just trying to be optimistic about the things that were going to come, that it started feeling good. And then with this launch party, that really kind of sealed it all. People were so proud of me. And of course, what made me feel the best was my kids coming up, and my youngest son was hugging me and saying, "I'm so proud of you, Mom. This is wonderful." And then my sisters and family were coming, and that really kind of sealed the deal there. It just felt so good.
that is so beautiful. And I think it's important to share that that was 3 months later, three
Mhm.
months after launching the book. So it's okay sometimes if we feel a little like bit of complicated emotions, roller coaster of emotions when the launch is happening. It
Yeah.
is like kind of anticlimactic and at the same time kind of like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Exactly. It was like, it was just all these emotions. And thank goodness I have people I can, voice this to, and they can say, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And they really encourage me. But, it was something. And my husband, he introduced me at the book launch, and he had written just all these words, and it was like the whole story. It was like, I'm not sure I even need to talk now because but he was so emotional, and he's used to being on stage. He does improv comedy, and he does commercial. He's out in front of the camera and doing things all the time. But while he was introducing me and I'm standing next to him, I can see his hand shaking while he's talking into the microphone. He's getting teary and all that. So when I stepped up, thinking I was going to be nervous, I stepped up and said, "Well, I guess I don't have much to say after that." And then I just went into my talk, and I was not nervous at all. And it just looking at the faces in the room, and it was a wonderful feeling and a great way to start this next chapter of my journey.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And what a beautiful moment to share that your children were so proud of you. And I know not everybody gets to have that experience. I just think that that is so beautiful. So when you did get your book out in the world and then you're feeling the vulnerability and then it sounds kind of like the way that you got out of it was switching into thinking about how am I going to share and doing like the next step, which I think most authors would see. We're kind of naive to the fact that once the book comes out that it's just a brand new beginning and we have all this work we have left to do. So once your book was in the world, did you switch into like kind of a marketing mindset to help yourself kind of start moving forward again?
Yeah, I had already been thinking in that way since the very beginning, because I kind of saw my uh, book as it was more than just a book. I had a companion workbook and all of these things. So I had already been thinking about how to get that out even more. And one of the ways I was doing that was attending the Women in Publishing and trying to take more of those marketing type talks and hearing where that. And then I was invited. Well, I won a ticket to go to the in-person conference in South Carolina. So all of that was happening in the month of March. I had the online conference, and at the end of the month, I went and attended in person. And being around other authors and other people who had either already published books and had done this before, or it was their first book, it was just being around the same people. I was inspired by that. And then the people that were presenting and talking about marketing and all of those, the things that we need to know that we don't really think about when we become an author, it was very helpful. It really helped me to see, okay, one, I'm already going down the right path. And two, oh, here's some other great ideas that I can put in my pocket and use for myself. So I think it's important for us to surround ourselves with other people who have been there, who've done it before, and just glean from them, learn from them, and then take it and use it and do it your own way. And so that's been very helpful.
Oh, that's amazing. There's no one else who understands the author journey quite like another author. The
Mhm.
vocabulary, everything that you say is going to land and resonate because we're all in doing these kinds of things, and we like the Women in Publishing Summit, their slogan was better together. We are better when we are
Better
doing it
together.
together, even though we do have to do these parts a little bit separate.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
think this is the perfect time to ask more about your book. If you could please share with us just a little bit more details about the your actual book itself and also a little bit about the companion workbook as well because this is an action-based plan. There's not just to sit and absorb. This is also move it into your life and I would love to just hear more about that whole journey or all of the
Yeah.
things you have.
I would love to. Can I show my book?
Yes, please.
Go out of this the frame for a second, and I had pushed them too far off. But so I have my book, and see, it's a not a long read. And most people I've talked to, and then this is the companion workbook. And my husband is the graphic designer for all this. I have to give him some kudos out there. But the people that are reading it have told me some of them have read it all the way through. My daughter read it on her flight over to for a work trip, and one of my good friends read it in a few hours or 5 hours. I think he said I sat down and I couldn't put it away. So that's a guy, and I had another friend who's also a man, a dude, a guy, whatever you want to call him, who when he has been following my journey, and he read the book too, and he said there's a lot of here that the dudes can pick up too. But I wrote it with women in mind because it was my journey, and being a woman, I know what it feels like to go through all the transitions and the weight that we carry as women in our lives as mothers, and I'm a first daughter, so all these things, that the responsibilities and all the things that we have, we forget about ourselves. And I'm not saying, we I'm talking about deep down inside. We forget about ourselves. We lose track of who we are because we're playing all these roles. And I enjoyed all the roles I played, but after a while I began to wonder, well, if all of this went away, who am I beneath it all? And that's where everything came into play. I went through a lot of transition in my 40s, not just from perimenopause and things like that, but I had gone through a divorce, amicable. We remained friends. And the sad thing was that he was killed in an accident a few years later. And in that 4 years before he passed, I had lost my job. I couldn't keep up with the bills, and I had to let go of the house. I had to let go of the family SUV and get a compact car. I did everything I could in order to survive. And then when Michael passed in a tragic accident, um, it was like everything was from scratch. I had a clean slate. I had to start all over. So the book is about that journey and what I did to rebuild the foundation within me and to begin growing and nurturing the person I was deep inside. And the shoe came about because I had a dream about going for a walk with a coworker and I forgot my shoes. And I walked outside to go for the walk and looked down and I'm wearing socks. And I thought in my head during the dream, how do you forget your shoes to go for a walk? And so when I woke up, I was still thinking about it. And that's when the whole framework came into place because I thought about the shoes, and forgetting your shoes for the journey is like forgetting the equipment you need for any challenge that you're going to take. Anything you're going to do, you've got to have the right equipment. And it's the same for our emotional journey of discovering who we really are or just reclaiming our true identity. We need the right tools. And if you weren't given those tools in your lifetime, or maybe you were and you just didn't understand it, but if you don't know what they are, it makes it more difficult. And so the part of the framework came when I was thinking about the shoe and how it broke down all the components of the shoe, and that started with the sole of the shoe. And we have a soul. Our soul is our foundation. That's where all the magic happens, is deep within our soul. That is every part of who we are is deep down in that soul. So we need to rediscover those things. What are our values and our beliefs, and what do we like and dislike, and who do we want to be? So it began with the soul, and then as you go through the book, each component of the shoe, I bring it up. And the healing is, about letting go and trying to figure out what things you're holding on to from your past that you need to release because it's no longer serving you, and find the things that do work for you now. The arch of the shoe is about having support, and we need a support system of people around us, and setting boundaries with those who are incapable of really supporting our journey. And just as I go on, the toe is our intuition. It's pointing us in the right direction. We have to learn to trust our intuition, or at least we need to learn to trust our intuition. The tongue is our voice. We all have a voice, and the voice is a big part of our identity because it shares with other people who we are. The eyelets of the shoe are like our vision, and creating the person, visualizing the person you want to become, and setting the goals, the small goals, one step at a time. What can you do to become that person, and discover those things about yourself that you didn't understand before? And then the last parts are the laces. The laces come into the shoe, in and out, tie everything together for security. And that kind of wrapped up where I thought, yes, if you're building on those layers and figuring out your identity, when you have those laces for the connection, it's about having that deeper connection to yourself. And when you have a connection with yourself, you have better relationships with others. And that those laces, I just imagine tying your shoe really tight, the right tightness to go out for that walk. Well, you feel secure in who you are. You feel secure in those shoes. And the very last step was the stitching of the shoe, which to me just represented our journey, because the stitching goes all around the shoe. The shoe being completed, it becomes the identity. And the stitching is our journey that we've taken. And it's a reminder that our past is a part of us. It probably shaped us to who we became, but it doesn't have to define us. And we get to rewrite our story and write the story we want to live for the rest of our lives. And that becomes our legacy and what we leave behind for our loved ones. Loved ones.
So beautiful. That's absolutely so beautiful. And I totally reflect back that the 30-something-year-old woman who sent you the voice note, who said, this is for all women. And I completely agree. It couldn't be more poignant for the times that we're in now, to just kind of see the picture as a whole and then see the completeness of it. I love the way that you are explaining the laces and the stitches and just how that ties us all up, and like that perfect, I loved when you were saying like the right tightness to make us feel secure. I just think that's so beautiful. Can you please tell us where we can find the book and the workbook, and where we can
Mhm.
find you on social media?
Sure. Um, the book is on Amazon along with the workbook, but you can also go to my website, shoesthatfithersoul.com, and I'm there. There's a QR code and things there that will get you to the right places. I also have Amazon only does a glue bound workbook or glue bound books. I wanted to have a spiral version as well because I feel like working through a workbook, which goes along with the book. Each chapter is based on the steps and what I was doing at that time. And so the workbook just helps you dive deeper into those chapters with the steps, and really, spend time on yourself. So the spiral bound you can get through my website as well, and it's the same price. It's just easier to work with. If you're one of those that likes to sit in your bed and do your do your homework or whatever, it makes it easier. And that's why I wanted to offer both. And then, of course, I'm on socials: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, at Shamayne Olivia. I think you can even find Shoes That Fit Her Soul. So, but that's where you can find me.
That's perfect. And as usual, I will have all those links in the description below. And I just have one last question for you. And that is, if you have any inspiration for my audience, once again, they are female authors and they are on the fence. And now that your book is in the world, I'm wondering if you have anything else to share that you haven't shared already. So many wonderful things with us to just inspire my audience to keep going.
Well, my message, if it's okay, I want to talk to the women out there and tell them we all have a story. We all have wisdom. We all have experience. You may not feel it. You may think, "Oh, I'm just like everyone else," or I'm not special," or what. No, we are all very unique. Our journeys are unique, even if it's similar to someone else's journey. Yours is unique to you, and you're going to have something to say about your journey that are going to hit people. It's going to resonate with people that another story might not. So we need to hear more voices, women's voices out there. We need to know your stories. And just like you were saying earlier, we are better together. And I think we're stronger together. When you put a group of women together, there is no stopping us, right? And if one woman is alone and if there's a threat or there's something that is just, you can't do that, well, you better get out of her way because she's going to prove you wrong. We don't take no for an answer if we feel like this is what we need to do. So I would just encourage you to share your story, share your voice. And if you're not sure if you have a book, just start telling your story to others. Share what's pressing on your heart and what you feel is important to you. Just share it with others. And eventually your journals or your talks and things like that will turn into a book.
That's so beautiful and such sound advice. Thank you so much, Shamayne, for coming back and for sharing with my audience once again. It's just been such a pleasure.
I've loved it too. Sharissa, thank you so much for having me back.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.